will see, uh, example wherein we will change the stock type and system will change the assignment of that stock at S4 level. The storage location will be automatically changed. So right now, this particular stock is coming under F2. Now, as I said earlier, because if you look at the description here at both the stock type, it is coming as unrestricted, right? Because each storage location can have the stock under one of these. So it is not dependent on any storage location, right? Any storage location will always have a particular stock type for a stock. Now, what it means is that if the stock belongs to the storage location CS03, and if it is an unrestricted, we will say the keyword will be F2, right? So per storage location in EWM, we are defining the keyword for each stock type. And then those keywords are getting assigned to an availability group, which in turn gets assigned to the plant and storage location combination as we see over here, right? So now if we will modify the value from F2 to F1, the stock situation in S4 will change. So let me refresh the transaction. So you see currently right now we have under CS03 stock storage location. For this particular batch, we have 103 quantity. And whereas at the CS02 storage location, we have 5 quantity. Right? So what happens, and as we have already seen that we have different availability group for each storage location and plant combination. Now within those availability group, we have defined the stock types separately as we saw in this particular configuration. So since we are talking about F1 and F2, so let's focus on those two rows. So this is what it means. And like I said earlier, that each storage location has those fixed stock types, and exactly those stock types are mimicked in EWM. Now within EWM, we'll get to see other stock types as well. So as we saw in the drop down, but we are going to talk about them later. Now, so now we will try to change the stock type in EWM, and that will result in the transfer posting at S4 level automatically. So in EWM, what it means implies is that at EWM level, the operator doesn't really care in terms of which storage location it belongs to. Either the stock is available for picking or dispatching, or it is not, right? Now it's not necessary that we will always have two storage location and two availability group. We can have as many storage location, right? It's possible to create number of storage location in S4. And then for each storage location, if we want to show the stock separately and track it separately, then we will end up creating a availability group dedicated for that and the corresponding stock types, which I said earlier, right? Four. So now, so it means that there is no as such restriction within S4 on EWM side that it has to be just F1, F2. It could be F3 and then something else, the corresponding value, a unique key basically per availability group, which represents the combination of plant and storage location. So now, once we will change the stock type over here for this row, then it should reflect in the change in the storage location at S4 level. Because each key is linked to a plant and storage location via availability group. So now that we have changed, we are saying that the batch 22 now belongs to the F1 key. Now what it means for us at S4 level is we had 103 quantity earlier and 5 unit here, but now it is reduced to 102 and 6, and it got incremented by 1 quantity here. So which means that the movement within EWM between a stock type will result uh, into a transfer posting in S4 level. Now there is now going for further. So now within EWM, we assign these availability group. How does system knows that? Because in EWM, the stock will be on the move, right? So we will receive the stock at staging area or at door, and then we move it to their final destination or the final storage type from where the picking activity or the replenishment will happen. Now, Generally speaking, so we will have two storage location if there is no off-site location or there is no production relevant storage location. So in general speaking, so there will be two storage location, which let's say are relevant to EWM. So whenever we receive the stock in inbound storage location, if the sales order is dropping at that point of time, the stock should not be available for picking activity because the stock is still in kind of transit within the warehouse, because the stock will travel, go to the quality inspection area, and it will take maybe few hours it will be there, and then maybe or few days, and then it goes to maybe deconsolidation area. Then beyond after that, it will go to the its destination storage type from where the picking happens. So if we allow the delivery to get created the moment stock is received in the plant or in the warehouse, even though it is not yet available for picking, then it will result in unnecessary delay or confusion, because the deliveries are there but the stock is still not there, so you won't be getting the warehouse task, right? So there is no point in unnecessary creating the delivery if we can't commit the stock for it and can't pick from there. So now, having said that, so what it means is that, so whenever we will, so only when the stock is actually received in the destination storage type, then only it should reflect, stock should reflect in the pickable storage location. So in this example, the pickable storage location is CS03. So when we receive the stock, we will always, let's say, receive in CS02. Then it goes to the processing in the warehouse. We might put labels, or we will perform some task on in terms of quality inspection. And once everything is done, they are moved to the destination storage type. The stock should right away reflect in CS03, so that all the open sales order or the back orders, when the job will run to convert them in the delivery can get created, because now we can pick, the operator can pick the stock in the warehouse. So if we look at this example now, so we have a storage type to represent high rack. So these are the bins, where we keep, let's say, the boxes or the pallets, the high rack. So for each storage location, mostly the destination storage location, mostly the destination storage type where we keep the product for picking activity, they will always be mapped with the availability group, because this availability group in turns is linked to your plant and storage location, right? So now what it means is that if I move the stock from this particular bin to the storage type 0010, system should change the stock type at EWM level, and the at S4 level, it should result in a change in the storage location, so that when the delivery is getting created, system should find the stock and in this particular picking storage location, and then delivery should drop and moves over to EWM for further processing. So now what we are going to do is we will add a value here, and we will create the warehouse task. So the handling unit is ending with 355. This HU type, so let's check what is the value of HU type here, or we can use a different. Let's try, I'm not sure. If we want, we can change this HU type also, but we can use, if we go to the handling unit node, we will get the method to add, change the HU type. But for now, let's not use a different storage type. So the handling unit number ending with 355. So we can see, sorry, let me refresh the report here first. So we can see that the quantity has increased at S4 level, which means the stock has moved over from the inbound location to the outbound one, where the picking will happen. Now we'll track the stock in the storage type. Sorry, I should not have put this filter here for the storage location. Sorry, storage bin. So let me remove the value. So in this example, as we can see, the stock has moved from the quality area over to the this particular bin, and this storage type is mapped to the certainly to the availability group 002. So if you look here in the system, we will see the availability group mentioned at 002, and in the configuration 002 is mapped to CS03, and within CS03 the stock type, if we further check the stock types which are mapped in the system, we will see the F2 as a value which represents the stock whenever it is in unrestricted stock type, right? So using this setup, system is changing the stock situation in EWM as well as in S4. So now when we look at F2, it is mapped with 002 and non-location dependent stock type as FF. And in this example, the even though the stock was initially in the box, when we moved it over to this storage bin, it was moved as a loose stock because this particular box was still available in QIS, right? So physically, a box can be only at one place; it can't be at and systematically as well. So this is the role of the availability group. Now you will see that not always the storage types are mapped with the availability group. And the reason behind that is because you might have three different storage locations from where you will do the picking, but ultimately they are processed at one work center, and you do not want to map the work center with any particular storage availability group, because the stock has to be linked to its original storage location, because when the delivery gets dropped, it will have a storage location number, like let's say CS04 and 5 and 6. And ultimately you want to do the PGI, right? So the stock still should it should still reflect under that storage location. So at times generally we would not be adding any availability group value, and we accept the stock type of the source data. So if I run a stock report at the pack station, and if you have three deliveries wherein you know uh, they have their different storage location, let's say CS03, 4 and 5. Now each storage location will have their own availability group and corresponding stock type. So you will get to see in the stock or the warehouse monitor three different stock types over there for unrestricted stock. Let's say F1, let's say X2, X3, and X5. So if you don't want to change it, because the moment you will put a value over here, it means the whenever the stock is coming in this particular storage, any of the bin of this storage type, the storage location has to be of what is linked in the configuration with this availability group, and we don't want that, right? For the pack station. Now there are some other values here. So let's say the stock is in unrestricted status, but whenever the stock comes over to this storage type, or the bin belonging to this storage type, it should be in block status. Let's say for you have created a storage type to represent the scrap stock. So whenever you find a problem with the stock, you want to move it over to the scrap storage type, but you don't want to choose the stock type. It should happen by default. You will just enter the destination bin. So what it means is that then you will have to enter this value over here, block, and mark this as mandatory. So the moment the stock comes over here, it will turn into the block stock. And if you don't mention any availability group, then it will retain the availability group value of the source. So if it is coming from a storage location 001, it will still belong to the storage location 001, but as a block stock. So the same storage type can hold the stock of different storage location without changing the ownership or the linkage, the original value of the storage location. So that's pretty much about the availability group.